What is the hardest place you have ever had to leave? Not a prison, not somewhere you hated, but a place that felt good, a place where someone understood you, a place where you didn't have to be responsible for anything. That kind of place is always the hardest to walk away from. On his way home, Odysseus encountered three things that nearly stopped him forever. Not monsters, not storms, not the punishment of the gods, but a woman who made him forget who he was, a goddess who offered him eternal life, a song so beautiful he was willing to die for it. Every time, he could have chosen to stay. He didn't. But the question isn't how strong he was. It's the way he struggled in each trap was completely different. After escaping the Cyclops, Odysseus' ship landed near another island. That island was called Aea. On that island lived a goddess, or a sorceress, Circe. Odysseus sent a group of men ashore to explore. Circe welcomed them in. She gave them food and wine. Then she raised her wand, and with one gentle movement, the men began to change. Their limbs shrank, their skin thickened, their faces became the faces of pigs. They had become pigs. But Homer wrote one detail. Their minds were still there. They knew they were human. They knew what had happened. But they couldn't speak. They couldn't change back. All they could do was cry. Odysseus later forced Circe to turn them back. And then he stayed. Not by force, he chose to stay. He lived on Circe's island for 1 year. You might be thinking right now, Odysseus was bewitched, right? Wrong. Homer is very clear. Odysseus was not under any spell. He was fully awake. He knew exactly where he was. He knew which direction home was. But he just didn't go. That is the truly unsettling part. Not a bewitched person who doesn't know he's trapped, but a completely clear-headed person who knows where he is, who knows where he should be going, and then chooses not to move. Have you ever been there? If Odysseus could speak, that year inside him probably sounded like, I know I should go. But here, no one needs me to prove anything. No battlefield. No mission. No one waiting for me to make a decision. I just have to be here, just exist. He might have been thinking, have I already forgotten why I had to go back at all? This kind of struggle has no tears, no visible suffering. It looks perfectly calm. But what it really is a person slowly forgetting who they are. After losing his last ship to a storm sent by the gods, Odysseus washed up alone on another shore. That island was home to a sea goddess, Calypso. She saved him, fell in love with him, gave him everything. Food, shelter, warmth, companionship. And then she offered him something more. Stay, be with me. I will make you immortal. You will never lose anyone again. You will never drift across the sea again. You will never have to fear death again. Odysseus stayed. He remained on that island for 7 years. But Homer wrote one detail. Every morning, Odysseus would walk down to the shore, sit there, and stare at the sea with tears in his eyes. Not because Calypso was bad, but because he still remembered, somewhere across that water, there was a home. You might be wondering, if he cried every day, why didn't he leave? That question is crueler than it sounds. Because what Calypso gave him was real love. Not magic. Not control. Not manipulation. She truly loved him. The warmth was real. The companionship was real. With Circe, you could still say that was temptation. But Calypso? Real love can also be the thing that holds you in place. Not because that love is wrong, but because that love stands exactly opposite the direction you were meant to go. Have you ever been in a relationship that had nothing wrong with it, but you knew, as long as you stayed there, you would never reach the place you actually felt you needed to go? If Odysseus could speak, those 7 years inside him probably sounded like, "She loves me. What she gives me is real. And if I leave, what I'm going back to is war, danger, maybe death. What right do I have to leave someone who genuinely loves me, to chase a place that might have nothing left when I get there? But then why, every single morning, do I still walk down to the shore and look in the direction of home?" This struggle has tears. It has feeling. He knows he is being torn apart, but he cannot move. This is not weakness. It is that he holds two true things at once, pointing in completely opposite directions. And then there's a third kind of trap. Before reaching his next destination, Odysseus' ship had to pass through a certain stretch of sea. There lived the sirens. They didn't look like monsters. They just sang. But everyone who had ever heard that song steered their ship toward it and died there. Odysseus did something that looked strange. Before they entered those waters, he ordered his crew, "Tie me to the mast, plug your ears with wax. No matter what I say after that, no matter how much I beg, do not let me go." They entered the water. The song began. Odysseus listened. He started to struggle. He started to cry. He begged his men to release him. No one moved. The ship kept going. The song grew distant. Odysseus came back to himself. Most people hear this story and think, wow, he was so brave to resist such a powerful temptation. But, wait. Did he resist through willpower? No, he handed the choice away in advance. He didn't become stronger in the face of temptation. He admitted, before the temptation arrived, "I cannot trust the version of myself in that moment." That is the truly remarkable thing. Not I can resist temptation, but I know I can't, so I designed for it in advance. Both outcomes look the same. He didn't give in. But these two things are telling completely different stories. If Odysseus could speak just before being tied to the mast, he probably sounded like, "I've heard the legends of that song. I know that song is not something I can fight. Not because I'm not strong enough, but because that song speaks directly to the deepest part of me. So I'm not gonna try. I don't trust myself in that moment. Right now, while I'm clear-headed, I'm gonna make a decision for the version of me who won't be." This kind of struggle has no tears, no visible hesitation. It looks like surrender. But it is actually a person being the most honest they have ever been with themselves. Now I want you to look at all three stories together. Circe's trap is comfort. No need to be responsible. No need to prove yourself. Someone takes care of you. Someone helps you forget. The cost is you slowly forget who you are. And you don't feel yourself forgetting. What it takes from you is your sense of identity. Calypso's trap is real love. This one is the hardest to talk about. Because that love isn't wrong. That warmth isn't fake. The cost is it stands directly opposite your real story. You have to choose stay in a genuinely good place or move toward a direction you can't fully explain. What it takes from you is your sense of narrative. The siren's trap is your deepest longing. That song is not an outside force. Its power comes from the fact that it sings exactly what you most want to hear. The cost is, once you hear it, reason disappears. What it takes from you is your judgment. Three different traps, three completely different mechanisms. But they all share one thing in common. None of them hold you by force. All of them hold you using your own needs. Only you know which one is yours. But let me describe three states and see if you recognize yourself. First, are you in a place that's fine right now? But one morning you wake up and realize you can't remember the last time you did something because you genuinely wanted to? That's Circe's island. Second, are you in a relationship or a job that has nothing wrong with it? But in some quiet moment, you feel a weight you can't quite name. Not unhappy, not regret, just a feeling, I think I'm supposed to be somewhere else. That's Calypso's island. Third, is there something in your life that you know? The moment you get close to it, your judgment vanishes. Person, a habit, something that once you open it, you can't stop. That's the siren's song. Which one is yours? Odysseus was not a perfect man. He stayed on Circe's island for a year. He stayed on Calypso's island for 7 years. He was tied to a mast, crying, begging to be released. He struggled too. He was attached too. He almost stayed too. But every morning, he still walked down to the shore and looked in the direction of home. Because he knew one thing. No matter how good that island was, no matter how beautiful that song, those things were not his story. Circe tells you comfort can make you forget who you are without you ever noticing. Calypso tells you even real love can hold you in place and only becomes part of your real story after you leave it. The sirens tell you, some temptations don't need willpower to resist. What you need is to make a decision for your future self while you are still clear-headed. Truly mature people are not those who are never tempted. They are the ones who know where they lose control and which kind of losing control it is. So I want to ask you, is there somewhere in your life right now you can't quite explain, but find it hard to leave? Have you taken a moment to ask yourself, is that Circe's island, Calypso's island, or your own siren's song? Because knowing which one it is the first step to knowing what you actually need to do. Because the world is never what you think it is. Wu Talks World. See you next time.